Hi, good afternoon and welcome to a new edition of What'cha Drinkin. My name is Stewart Tippler. I work as the European representative for Quirks, and today I've got the pleasure of interviewing Mark Bentley, who is the on-trade category controller for Molson Coors. So Mark, first and foremost, whatcha drinking?
So I've got a beer I'm about to drink, which is Blue Moon. So it's a Belgian white, which is a wit beer style. So I'm a bit of a beer geek, so I could wax lyrical about beers all day long. But yeah, this is a cracking beer to enjoy on a lovely hot summer's day like today.
Excellent. It is. It's a fantastic hot summer's day. Myself, I am drinking, so I've got quite local to where I live in Sussex. We've actually got a fantastic gin producer. I'm going to drink a gin and tonic. This is Silent Pool. So let me just pour a little bit of this in here. Obviously small measures because it is only 5 o'clock. We've only just started. Need a little bit of garnish. So for the gin and tonic, and especially for Silent Pool, we've got some orange garnish. Top tip there, if you fancy doing that, do the orange peel, chuck it in the freezer, it stays fresh for ages. So Mark, tell me a bit about the beers, what's going on at Molson Coors, obviously during the pandemic. How's things been going?
So it's quite a strange time. So since the 20th of March, so over 7 weeks ago now, all pubs across the country have been shut down. Quite a just an unprecedented time, really. The pubs are a big part of our business. Overnight, you've got all of the pub trade is shut down. So really now, it's if we're going to be selling beer, if you want to buy beer or cider, you've got to go to the supermarkets or the little kind of convenience stores. So kind of it's been a bit of a crazy time, but we're now in a place where we're turning our attention towards how does the trade reopen, and all the steps that are needed really to kind of gear back for that reopening.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, almost on a day-by-day basis. By the way, cheers. So let's have a quick talk.
Yeah, cheers.
You were just mentioning, obviously, with the pandemic taking effect, and things are changing almost on a daily basis, especially in the UK at the moment. Obviously, we're starting to release restrictions, as it were. What's the plans? What steps have you got at the moment from a Molson Coors perspective? Have you got any ideas on dates on when things are likely to get back to normal, as it were, or the new normal?
Yeah, I think the latest government guidance is that stage 3 of the sort of the reopening plan for getting businesses up and running again. Is from the beginning of July.
Yeah.
So at the moment, the hospitality industry, there could be some openings from the 4th of July. So that's the date that everyone's anchoring around.
Yeah.
There's a lot of caveats in place, so it's all dependent on the incidence of the virus continuing to kind of drop away, and ultimately it being safe to open.
Yeah.
So from an operator perspective, social distancing has been probably the words that before this year no one would have had a clue what you're talking about if you'd have mentioned the word social distancing. In many respects, pubs. Trying to stay apart from people is the very opposite of what pubs are all about. It's about people coming together, socialising, meeting your friends, meeting your family. So there's been a lot of work really trying to get our heads around, well, how can pubs operate in this place when there's going to be a need for restrictions? And also from a consumer perspective, I think consumer confidence is going to be the massive thing.
Yeah.
So there's some work that CGA, sort of research consultancy over here, have done, and it's shown that only just less than a quarter of people are saying that they're going to be confident to resume their visits to pubs immediately when the lockdown restrictions are lifted.
Yeah.
It's not all doom and gloom. There's probably another 50% that would be confident, but they'd be a little bit cautious, or they need reassurance that there's hygiene measures in place, that there's things there to enable social distancing. But undoubtedly, a lot of people are going to be really, really cautious and are just not going to want to go back straight away. So lots of work from us as a brewer, as a supplier into the trade, but also the operators themselves thinking, right, okay, how are we going to operate, under the guidelines and restrictions that will be in place, and how do we gear up for this new normal. But I think consumer confidence is going to be the single biggest thing, really. Just how do we reassure people that it's safe to go out and start to kind of get life back to normal.
And so what plans do Molson Coors have? So when we go into this new normal, what have you been able to do in terms of understanding what the customer needs are, what changes have been in place, and how are you going to be able to help deliver and give that confidence back to the consumer that, pubs are safe to go back to?
I think the reality is we're learning all the time because, for all of us, this is completely unprecedented times. So, I think if anyone turns around and says they've got the answer, then I think they're lying, because it's really just trying to make sense of what is completely unprecedented, kind of unique times in any of our lifetime. But I think for me personally, my role is all about understanding what's happening in the market, looking at the trends, and then critically understanding what consumers are looking for. Yeah. So a lot of the work I've been doing is really starting to look at some of the practicalities for reopening. So giving guidance to operators around, okay, well, what does range look like at the point that you reopen? So if in normal times, you were we often talk about barrels in the brewing world as a measure of volume, but an average pub would be 150 to 200 barrels a year. So at the point that you reopen, actually, it's likely that trade is going to be significantly lower than that. So a lot of the work I'm doing is starting to think, well, actually, if you were normally 150, 200 barrel account, what would trade look like if you were 75, 100 barrels? And then what does that mean then in terms of the number of brands that you need on the bar? What are the roles on the bar? And how do you choose the right range that ultimately is going to meet the needs of the guests that you've got coming through the door, but is also going to be profitable from an operator perspective? Because the last thing that people want to be doing is spending lots of money buying in beers and ciders, them not selling, then getting quality issues and wastage, and ultimately, they're carrying a range which isn't profitable for them. Really kind of doubling down on some of the real operational basics around how many brands do you need on the bar, what are the best brands to choose, and just really kind of getting that in place, looking after quality, getting all of the operational disciplines in place. And I think our guidance is really about starting small and then building on from there, because no one knows what level of trade you're going to be at when you open up. But it's really easy to scale up. But what you don't want to do is start too big and then find that you've sat on loads of stock and you've got too many products on the bar, because that just presents a whole load of more challenges. Okay.
Well, first of all, can I just say let's have a drink and hope that the day when we're able to go back into bars and pubs in the UK comes as soon as possible. I know that most of us are missing it tremendously. I must admit, I do frequent the odd bar and pub a couple of times a week, to say the least. So I do like to support the on-trade. One of the things that we do as part of these interviews, Mark, is we have a question. So question that I'm just going to pull out here is, tell us a quirk about yourself that no one would necessarily know.
Okay, well, I've got a beer-related quirk is that I'm also a beer sommelier. So I'm a qualified beer geek.
Cool. It's useful in your trade.
Yeah, it is useful for that. So I'll chat about beer all day long. Hopefully people find it interesting, but I'll be I'm in my element when I'm chatting about a beer. But the other one is a bit more random. So we've got 3 dogs, and we compete in agility. So we basically run our dogs around obstacle courses.
Oh, wow.
But a few years ago, my oldest dog, we competed on the England team. So we went to the World Championships. So we represented our country at agility.
Oh, and what type of breed is your dogs? Are they all the same, or are they different?
No, they're all different. So the oldest one is a Jack Russell cross toy poodle.
Okay.
So you either call them a crossbreed or some might say a jackadoodle, which is a bit random. Now we've got a Cavalier King Charles cross toy poodle, and then the youngest dog, which is the one I kind of run and compete with now, is a working Cocker Spaniel. So she's like all about speed and just crazy, just she'll run all day.
Okay. Mark, excellent. Thank you very much for your time. Stay safe, take care, and thank you very much for joining us at Quirks.
No, thanks, Stuart. Cheers.
Okay, take care.